God loves residual income. Yeah, Sam, what are you talking about? What is residual income? Residual income basically is you do the job one time and the money comes to you off of that one job that you did. So perhaps you could write a book and you publish it online and it just keeps being sold. So from that one book you published, you're constantly making money. So you did the job one time, so there are numerous, almost virtually limitless amounts, maybe not limitless, but there are lots of examples of these. What is good about residual income? Well, it shows foresight and it shows wisdom, shows thinking ability, and it also shows efficiency. You do the job one time, and from that one job, everything else comes in for you. The finance, the benefits of that one job. You reap the benefits continuously, nonstop. And there's no telling how much you can gather if you advertise enough, right? So it shows wisdom. God created everything one time in the beginning. And then from those first creations, he blessed them. And he said, fill the earth, become numerous, become many. So God loves residual income. He does the job one time, and from that one bacteria, all the bacteria emerge. From that one wolf, all types of wolves emerge. From that one human creation, all types of humans come into play. Let's keep it simple and speak about the bacteria. He puts all the pieces of the bacteria together. Then after he's done that initial job, how does he get that bacteria to duplicate and replicate itself, reproduce itself, so that he can get that residual income from that one bacteria? Well, one, he has to be able to put some type of information in the bacteria so that that bacteria would know how to reproduce itself, so that it can bring God residual income of many bacteria. So that information is obviously the DNA. But when God makes the bacteria, he makes the bacteria off of the same components that are in the earth. But so he makes the bacteria out of proteins. He makes the bacteria out of lipids, fats. He makes the bacteria out of carbohydrates. These are the three main things. The nucleic acid is the DNA, so we're not talking about that. We're talking about the bacteria. The nucleic acid, the DNA, is in the vesicle, the bacteria, right? So these compounds, these molecules, fats, proteins, carbohydrates, they are from the earth, and they make up this vesicle. So let's say hypothetically that, now many people will say this is not hypothetical, this is actually how it happened, which is ludicrous. But let's say hypothetically this is how it happened, that these compounds formed, these molecules formed in the early earth, and they created a compound of the vesicle called the bacteria. This is chemistry. If you bake a cake, this is chemistry. So a whole bunch of different molecules coming together to create a product. You don't have to bake. You can use, you can fry, you can boil, you can leave it out in the sun. You can put entities in the water. There are many ways to cause chemical reactions to happen to get a final product, right? So they say that the bacteria came through chemical products. And this is all part of the residual income of God. You'll see the picture. As you know, I get into it. But I'm not going to try to make this video too long. So this is all chemistry. There's no mystery, right? You know how to fry an egg. You know how to bake a cake. You know how to use different chemicals to get an agent, a product. Whatever chemistry you do, you're doing it in the earth, right? So you're privy to what Earth's chemistry produces. It creates a product. When that product is produced, does that product, that cake, that egg, that bread you baked, does it have Does it have the ability to be planted in the ground so that you have more cakes grow or more bread grow out of the ground? Does it have the ability to reproduce itself so that you don't have to keep baking cakes and keep baking breads and keep frying eggs? No, you have to keep doing that work, right? So we're not efficient because we can't make residual income out of the chemical reactions and final product that we just received. We can't do that. Why can't the cake reproduce itself? Why is there that limitation in the earth? Right? And if you're in the early earth, chemicals are coming together, they make a final product, right? Whether it's alive or not is not the point. The point is, whether it's alive or not, can it reproduce itself? Can it replicate? No. Why is that? Because that cake you baked, no amount of chemistry that you will do, no amount of self-directed natural chemistry that happens in the early earth in some primordial soup will ever create a compound that will have an informational system in it that will cause it to be able to keep reproducing after that same final product that you just arrived at, right? So we all know this basic logic of chemistry. That's why many former evolutionists who are chemists, who are now no longer evolutionists, say no molecule replicates, right? Nothing replicates, but a living cell replicates. 99.9% accuracy. The same product, the same cake, replicates into another cake with all the exact same ingredients, all the trillions upon trillions. Now, cake is simple. It doesn't have trillions of ingredients, but a cell does. But all those trillions of elements that makes up the cell is replicated 99.9% accuracy. They say that's astonishing. How does it do that? Well, it's able to do that because of the DNA, right? So, but why is it that the DNA is able to cause it to do that? Because the DNA has an information system on how that creature can reproduce itself. So basically, God has baked cakes, for lack of a better term. And because he doesn't want to keep baking cakes, because that will show a lack of efficiency, that will show a lack of intelligence, a lack of wisdom. If you have to keep doing the same job over and over again to make money, you're not as intelligent as a person who only has to do the job once and makes money off of that one job. If you have to bake a cake constantly to get cakes, you're not as intelligent or as wise or as efficient as a next person who's able to bake a cake once and get that same cake to keep baking cakes. God loves residual income. So we all know this, right? But this is the other thing. So we've arrived at this cell, right? They say it came about by natural processes and it came to be alive, right? So now it's alive, but it can't reproduce, it can't replicate, because we all know that no matter what chemistry goes on, as long as it's on the earth, because we know this is earth, right? As long as it's on the earth, no chemistry can go on in the earth that can reproduce that same chemical reaction. That's impossible. A cake can't bake another cake. You can bake another cake from scratch, right? The chemical reactions that cause the first cell can happen again, but outside of the cell. It has to happen again to create another cell, and it happen outside of the cell again to create another cell. But the end product of the initial chemistry that made the first cell cannot make another cell out of this cell. It has to make another cell from scratch. You can't make another cake from the chemistry that you made the first cake with out. You can't make another cake with a cake. You can make another cake using the same chemical process that you used to make the initial cake, but you can't make another cake off of the first cake that you made. Unless you put all the steps that it took you to make that cake, you put it somehow in some informational system and put it inside the cake and cause the cake to be able to do it, to replicate itself, which will be impossible for us. And it will be impossible for nature because we use nature to get the end product of a cake, of chemical reactions. I'm just using a cake because we can understand a cake, but you could use water, hydrogen, you could use sulfur, you can use ammonia to create different end products. But no matter what chemical means you use to arrive at any chemical end product, no matter how enigmatic, no matter how mysterious that end product is, it is still based off of the chemistry of the earth. No matter how absurdly amazing that end product is, it's not going to make another end product off of itself. The only way to get to that product again would be to start from scratch, right? So, but this is the other thing. Nature supposedly has made this cell, right? So this is the chemistry, fine. Chemical evolution, like they say, okay, fine. Not only is it literally impossible for it to bake another cake off of this cake, but it has to start from scratch. Not only is that the case, but everything, all the compounds, all the molecules, the lipids, this is all still about residual income and God. Just stick with me here, okay? The cake is made off of the fats. Well, let me stick with the cell. The cell is made off of the fats, the proteins, and the carbohydrates. But there's something strange about this end product of this chemistry. There is something called chirality, handedness, right? Where in nature, everything is 50-50. Everything is right-handed and left-handed. No matter what you do, you will always get right-handed and left-handed. Literally, it's like the opposites of each other, right? So all molecules come in two pieces in nature, all of them. This has always been the case because that's what holds things together. So it's not like, okay, all right. So everything is 50-50. But in life, it is only one. In life, it is only one. But if the bacteria got here through natural chemistry, then the bacteria should have 50-50 of the natural elements that it came from. How do we know that? Well, when you bake a cake, all the elements in the cake are 50-50. Whatever chemicals you use to make an end product, you're using the elements of the earth. The elements of the earth are 50-50, so the end product will be 50-50. And this is the case 1000% of the time, all the time, 100% of the time. You never get one because that would be impossible. You would have to be able to do some magic to break the laws of what nature is, which you can't do. And not only you can't do that, but the things will literally fall apart. So they have to be that way to stay together. You understand? A building cannot stand unless it is 50-50. That's what holds it together. Right? So, but life is not 50-50. It's one. So that means, okay, now you'll be asking, yes, maybe you say, well, maybe it's always been, maybe the earth was not, maybe when life was made, everything was one. That's why the first cell became one. And then now, all of a sudden, things are 50-50. And we just happen to be the ones that are one. No, because if that's the case, then there would be no earth. Because the 50-50 is what holds things together. So the rocks are there because 50-50. The sand is there because 50-50. Everything is solid because 50-50. The water is 50-50. Everything is 50-50. You understand? So since we came out of the earth, we came out of a 50-50 environment. But yet we are one. Right? That's so look into that. It's called chirality and homochirality. Right? So homochirality meaning one-handedness, and chirality meaning double. Two-handedness, because we have two hands. So if life is a result, if that bacteria is a result of natural chemistry, one, it should not be able to replicate itself because a cake cannot make another cake off of a cake. So the end product of the chemistry should not make another product of itself unless it starts from scratch. Why? Because this is Earth, the laws of Earth. So that's one. Two, if it came from natural processes, it should be 50-50, but yet it's one. So both of these things proves that it's an unnatural process, right? And it shows the intellect and wisdom of whatever it was that created it. Because now, whatever it was that created it doesn't have to create it again, because the informational system will do that job for the one who created it. So now the DNA, it came here. The DNA is no different than a book. Don't think of the DNA in its spiral form as something enigmatic or mysterious. No, it's literally a book. It's a solid material. It's just so microscopic that you might think it's not solid. It's solid. And it has codes written in it by someone. Okay? But the difference is that the codes are not shaped, or the material that the information is written on, the DNA, is not shaped like a book. We write books like how we write books. It's twofold, right? You can open it and close it. We write like that, and some write from right to left, others write from left to right. Some read opposite directions. Some write from top to down, like the Asians. Some write from bottom to up. You can write diagonally if you wanted to. You can write in any way you want. The substance that you're writing on and how the substance is shaped is not what's important. What's important is that there's information on that substance. But that substance carries information that the vesicle it's within is made of. So the DNA is there. Now, remember, when you get a chemical end product, that chemistry is not going to have, the cake is not going to have information in it about how you arrived at the cake. There's no chemistry you can do with intelligence or the earth can do naturally that would cause an end chemical product. It's already impossible for a cell to be made. I'm not discussing that. Let's just say it can be made. Okay, fine, it can be made. There is no chemical way to get informational system in the chemistry that you've arrived upon that would have information on how you arrived upon that chemistry. That's illogical. That's people, right? But not only do we have an end product from chemistry of the earth, however it got there, but it also has an information system on how it got there, the processes, and how to reproduce after itself. But I don't have much time. I got 19 minutes. It's at 16, almost 17 minutes. So let me go to a different point. God makes this bacteria to reproduce after itself. When God does something, it's in the same way that we would do something, except he does it more supremely. It's a book that he's putting inside the bacteria. Now, that information that's in the bacteria, if it was to be uncoiled and released, it would be as big as my hand. It would be all over the place as my hand. But all of that is fit inside the bacteria microscopically. That shows efficiency. There's a term in people who create technology and nanotechnology that the level of efficiency is measured by how much things you can fit into a small package. What is more efficient than the most informational packed system in the universe, which is the DNA, which is packed in a cell, which you can fit thousands of them in the pinhead of a needle. That's efficiency, people. And the bacterial flagellum that it uses to propel itself is shaped like an outboard motor. The same way us humans would make an outboard motor is the same way the outboard motor of the bacterial flagellum is designed, except it's designed more efficiently. Is termed by Harvard as the most efficient machine in the universe. You know what other cells have that bacterial flagellum? Our sperm cells, men's sperm cells, and mammals' sperm cells. So God has ensured that not only will he get his residual income so that the creatures will reproduce after itself, but he's made sure that he's given them an engine that would ensure that the creature will swim to its target. And he's given us numerous amount of sperm cells to make sure that the task always gets done. And he's made sure that a woman that he's made, every month, the egg will be released to try to get impregnated. Or the egg will be there to try to get impregnated. If it doesn't work, it's too old, it's released. Next month happens again. Next month happens again. Next month happens again. And it's going to keep on happening until God's purpose is realized where she gets pregnant. Because God is about efficiency and he loves residual income. So I don't have much time to keep talking. If you like what I'm talking about, sorry, I can't continue because my phone is full. But just stay tuned for my other videos. I got a lot to share, I couldn't even share everything that I wanted to in this video. But hopefully this gave you some things to think about. All right, peace.